You really believe you can mess around with me? Marcus snarled, his hands balling into fists so tight his knuckles went white. Think that shy girl routine will fly here at Riverside High? Sophia lifted her head slowly, and something flickered in her gaze that made the entire crowd freeze. It wasn't fear, it was something much colder, much more dangerous. I'm not putting on an act, Marcus. Her tone was eerily steady. I was just hoping you wouldn't make me reveal what I'm actually capable of. And what exactly are you capable of? He sneered, completely unaware that in 5 minutes he'd be sprawled on the concrete while the entire school talked about what they'd witnessed. Keep reading for the most incredible part. Don't miss what happens next. Hit that like button and subscribe so you won't miss anything. It all started on a foggy Monday morning at Riverside High in the quiet town of Willowbrook, Pennsylvania. The autumn mist still hung low over the campus when 16-year-old Sophia Chen walked through the entrance of her new school. Her family had recently relocated from Philadelphia after her mother accepted a position at the Regional Medical Center. For Sophia, this marked the 4th relocation in 3 years. Nothing about her appearance suggested anything extraordinary. She was of average build, petite, with dark hair tied back in a practical ponytail, wearing unremarkable jeans and a faded hoodie. She made every effort to stay under the radar, to remain invisible, speaking only when teachers called on her directly. What nobody at Riverside High could have imagined was that Sophia Chen was Pennsylvania's reigning junior state champion in mixed martial arts. 4 years of rigorous training at one of Philadelphia's premier combat sports academies had transformed her into a formidable fighter, capable of holding her own against opponents twice her size. Her signature combination, a lightning-fast jab followed by a devastating uppercut, had earned her recognition throughout the state. Her ground fighting techniques had left even her instructors amazed, but at her mother's earnest request, they had decided to keep her background completely secret in their new town. "We need a fresh beginning, honey," her mother had urged. "You understand how people react when they discover your abilities. Let's just try to be an ordinary family for once." Sophia had reluctantly agreed, though something inside her resisted the idea. Back in Philadelphia, people knew better than to cross Sophia Chen. Here in Willowbrook, she was simply the quiet new student. The problems began on her very first day. During the lunch period, Sophia sat by herself at a table in the corner of the cafeteria when a tall, muscular boy strutted over to her. He had a military-style haircut and an arrogant expression. Two companions flanked him, one short and weary with darting eyes, the other lanky with a cruel smirk. "Look what we have here," the leader announced as he dropped into the chair across from her. "I'm Marcus Webb. This is my territory, my regulations." He gestured toward his friends, Tyler and Ryan. Sophia glanced up from her lunch. "Good to meet you. I'm Sophia." "Sophia," Marcus repeated, rolling the name around on his tongue. "Where'd you transfer from?" "Philadelphia, the big city, huh?" Tyler snickered. "So you think you're superior to us small-town folks?" "I don't think that at all," Sophia replied quietly, continuing to eat. "But apparently you do." Marcus leaned forward aggressively. "Listen here, princess. We have a straightforward arrangement. New students need to demonstrate proper respect, especially city kids who think they're too sophisticated for us." Sophia felt tension building in her chest. That condescending tone, that swagger, it was painfully familiar, but she had made a promise to her mother. "I don't want any conflict," she said, pushing back her chair to leave. "Where exactly do you think you're going?" Ryan pressed his hand down on her shoulder, preventing her from standing. "We haven't finished our conversation. What is it you want from me?" Her voice carried an edge of steel, but the boys completely missed it. "Just some basic respect," Marcus said with a nasty grin. $10 a week for protection services. You know how dangerous a new school can be for a girl on her own." Sophia studied their faces carefully. Marcus's eyes held the confidence of a predator certain his prey wouldn't fight back. Tyler was grinning, enjoying the spectacle. Ryan was simply waiting for her to crack. "I need some time to consider it," she finally said. "Naturally," Marcus said magnanimously. "You have until tomorrow morning." "Oh, and Sophia." He leaned closer, his breath against her ear. "Don't even consider running to the teachers. They're all on our side here. My father funds the athletic department." After they left, Sophia remained seated for several more minutes, her fist clenched beneath the table. She could have ended the situation right then and there. One precise strike and Marcus would have spent the rest of the day in the infirmary. But her promise to her mother held her back. Walking home after school, her mind raced. $10 weekly meant over $500 for the entire school year. And she knew this was just the beginning. Boys like Marcus never stopped at just money. Given now, and the demands would only escalate. At home, her mother was already preparing dinner. Dr. Linda Chen looked exhausted after her first day at the new hospital, but she still managed to smile for her daughter. How did school go, sweetheart? Fine, Sophia lied smoothly. Just a typical first day. Meet anyone interesting? Too early to say. Her mother studied her carefully. After years together, they had developed an intuitive understanding of each other's moods. And Linda sensed something was troubling her daughter. If there are any problems, you can talk to me. Everything's fine, Mom. Really. But that night, Sophia lay awake staring at the ceiling. Marcus's face burned into her memory. His cocky smile, his entitled expression, the dismissive tone of his voice. Back in Philadelphia, she would have handled this immediately. Everyone there knew not to mess with Sophia Chen. Here, she was just another quiet transfer student who didn't want trouble. The next morning brought escalation. Sophia had barely entered the school building when Marcus and his crew cornered her. Near the stairwell. Well, have you made your decision? He asked, cutting straight to the point. I'm not paying you anything, Sophia stated firmly. Asterisk the smirk vanished from Marcus's face. Excuse me, I said no. For several seconds, they stared at each other in silence. Then Marcus laughed, but it was a harsh, humorless sound. You know what, Princess? I really hoped you'd be smart about this. He shrugged. But if you want to play the hero, what followed was a nightmare for Sophia. Marcus and his friends seemed to declare open warfare on her. Between classes, they found countless ways to make her existence miserable. During first period biology, Tyler accidentally knocked into her, sending her textbooks flying across the floor. When she knelt to collect them, he deliberately stepped on her notebook with his muddy sneaker. Whoops, he smirked. My mistake. Between second and third periods, Ryan shoulder checked her into the wall hard enough to leave her arm aching. She gritted her teeth and said nothing. Pay attention to where you're walking, he barked as he continued down the hall. By lunch, the situation had reached a breaking point. Sophia was sitting at the same isolated table when Marcus approached again, this time accompanied by half the football team. Word is, he announced loudly, ensuring everyone within earshot could hear. The transfer student thinks she's too good for our customs, believes she's above our rules. Conversations at nearby tables died away. All eyes turned to watch the confrontation. Marcus, please, Sophia said quietly. I just want to get through school peacefully, and I just want you to learn your position. He shot back. See, when someone ignores my reasonable requests, it reflects poorly on me. He picked up her tray and slowly dumped the entire contents onto her lap. Hot soup soaked through her jeans while chunks of vegetables scattered across the floor. Oh dear, what a disaster, Marcus said with mock concern. The cafeteria erupted in laughter. Someone immediately started recording with their phone. Sophia sat motionless, feeling the liquid seeping through her clothes. Inside her, a storm was building, cold, controlled, but no less dangerous for its restraint. What are you waiting for? Marcus taunted. Clean it up. Sophia stood slowly. Soup dripped from her jeans, leaving dark puddles on the linoleum. The laughter around her grew louder, but she heard none of it. She was focused entirely on Marcus. You just made a serious error in judgment, she said quietly, but her voice cut through the noise like a knife. Oh really? And what are you going to do about it? He laughed. Run, cried to the principal. Call mommy. Sophia didn't respond. She simply grabbed her backpack and walked out of the cafeteria, leaving behind puddles of soup and echoes of laughter. In the restroom, she attempted to clean the stains, but it was hopeless. Her hands were trembling, not from fear, but from the rage she was barely containing. 4 years of training had taught her to channel her anger, to use it strategically, but today, that control was slipping. She pulled out her phone and dialed her former instructor back in Philadelphia. Sensei Rodriguez, this is Sophia Chen. Sophia, how's the new school treating you? Not well. I'm having issues with some local bullies. There was a pause on the line. Sensei Rodriguez had known Sophia since she first entered his dojo as a scrawny 12-year-old, desperate to defend herself after being attacked by older students. Tell me what's happening. Sophia gave him a brief summary of the situation. When she finished, he sighed deeply. Listen to me very carefully, Sophia. I understand your mother wanted you to keep your abilities secret, and that was wise counsel. But sometimes secrets become liabilities. What do you mean? If you continue allowing them to victimize you, their behavior will only escalate. Boys, like that, only respond to strength. But remember, if you choose to act, do it intelligently. Not on school grounds, not with witnesses around, and don't cause permanent damage. I remember your teachings. Good. And Sophia, regardless of everything else, you have the absolute right to defend yourself. Sophia spent the rest of the day in deep contemplation. By the final bell, she had reached a decision. She wasn't going to endure this treatment any longer. After classes ended, she lingered in the library, pretending to study. In reality, she was waiting for the building to empty. She needed to confront Marcus alone. Around 4 o'clock, she left the building. The parking lot was nearly deserted, with only a few faculty cars and some upperclassmen's vehicles remaining. She knew Marcus typically stayed late for football practice. Sophia walked to the athletic complex and peered through the window into the gymnasium. Practice had just concluded, and the players were heading toward the locker rooms. She waited another 30 minutes until she saw Marcus emerge from the building by himself. His friends had already departed. Marcus, she called out. He turned, a smirk spreading across his face when he spotted her. Well, look who's back for more. Soup Girl wants seconds. Sophia stepped closer. They were completely alone in the empty parking lot. We need to talk. About what? Marcus crossed his arms, still radiating confidence. After all, what could this small girl possibly do to him about what happened in the cafeteria today? What about it? I thought it was pretty entertaining. For you, maybe. Not for me. Marcus stepped forward, using his height advantage to intimidate her. At nearly 6'4", he towered over Sophia's 5'2" frame. Listen here, little girl. I tried to be reasonable with you, gave you a simple choice, pay up and live peacefully. But you wanted to play the rebel. Now it's going to get much worse. Worse how? Tomorrow the entire school will know you're just another pathetic loser from Philadelphia. I'll tell everyone how you sat there covered in your own lunch, too scared to move. I'll post the videos online. #SoupGirl will trend. It'll be perfect. There was a flicker in Sophia's eyes. Something Marcus noticed but completely misinterpreted. Getting scared now to bad, princess. Should have thought of that earlier. He sneered. You know, Marcus, Sophia said in a calm, almost gentle voice, I have a proposal for you. A proposal. You're hardly in a position to be making offers. One-on-one. Combat. Right here. Right now. If you win, I'll pay you not $10 a week, but 20. I'll do whatever you demand. Marcus raised an eyebrow, genuinely surprised. And if you win, you leave me alone permanently. And you apologize publicly for today's incident. Marcus burst into laughter. Are you serious? You want to fight me? I want to settle this definitively. Little girl, I've been playing football since elementary school. My coach was a college All-American. I can bench press over 300 pounds. And you? He looked her up and down dismissively. You look like you'd blow away in a strong wind. Then you have nothing to worry about. Something in her tone made Marcus study her more carefully. Sophia stood there completely relaxed, her arms hanging loosely at her sides. But there was a quiet confidence in her posture that he hadn't noticed before. Fine, he finally said, but no rules. Anything goes, anything goes. She agreed. They moved to the center of the parking lot. The asphalt was clear. No vehicles nearby. A perfect arena for their confrontation. Marcus stripped off his jersey, revealing a powerfully built torso. Years of weight training had clearly paid off. Broad shoulders, developed chest, muscular arms. He knew he looked intimidating. Sophia simply removed her hoodie, standing in a plain t-shirt. Next to Marcus, she appeared even more fragile. Last chance to back down, he offered with a condescending smile. Thanks, but I'm good. Your funeral. Marcus didn't hesitate. He charged forward, aiming to end the fight with his first punch. His fist flew toward her face with enough force to cause serious damage. What happened next completely shattered his understanding of reality. Sophia didn't attempt to dodge the punch. Instead, she shifted slightly to one side, allowing the blow to sail harmlessly past her head. Simultaneously, She brought up her right forearm to deflect his attack with perfect precision. The movement was so quick, so exact, that Marcus didn't have time to process it. Then Sophia counterattacked. Her left hand shot forward like a piston, striking him squarely in the solar plexus. The blow was compact, but it carried devastating power. 4 years of intensive training, thousands of hours perfecting her technique, all of it concentrated into that single strike. Sophia's fist buried itself in Marcus's abdomen, just below his rib cage. He doubled over instantly, gasping like a fish out of water, his diaphragm spasmed, his lungs refusing to function. He tried desperately to draw breath, but couldn't. Panic filled his eyes as he dropped to his knees. What? How? He croaked. Still unable to comprehend what had just occurred, Sophia stood over him, as composed as ever. There was no strain, no sign of exertion in her posture. First rule of combat, she said softly, never underestimate your opponent. Marcus tried to stand, but his legs wouldn't cooperate. That strike to his solar plexus had been delivered with surgical precision, enough to incapacitate without causing permanent harm. You box, he managed to whisper. Not boxing, Sophia. Crouched down to meet his eyes. Mixed martial arts, for years of intensive training. Pennsylvania State Junior Champion. 28 fights, 26 victories. Marcus's eyes widened in horror. But you know what the most interesting part is, Sophia continued. I didn't even use a fraction of my full strength. If I had, that punch would have shattered your ribs and damaged your spine. She stood and stepped back a few paces. I moved, here hoping to live a normal life. I'm tired of people being afraid of me. My mother asked me to hide my abilities, and I agreed. I wanted to be just another student. Marcus finally managed to draw a breath and slowly pushed himself to his feet, clutching his stomach and staring at Sophia with newfound respect. But you didn't allow me that opportunity. Sophia's voice turned cold. You assumed I was an easy target. You were wrong. Look, I didn't know, Marcus began. Of course you didn't. But now you have a choice. Sophia stepped closer. Despite the height difference, Marcus felt small and vulnerable in her presence. Either you keep your word, leave me alone and apologize publicly, or she shrugged casually, tomorrow I'll demonstrate to everyone what I'm truly capable of, with witnesses and cameras rolling. How do you think your football teammates will react when they see their captain defeated by a girl half his size in 30 seconds? Marcus realized he was completely trapped. His reputation, his status at school, everything he had built, it all hung by a thread. All right, he rasped. All right, I'll do it. Smart choice. Sophia picked up her hoodie and started to walk away. Oh, and Marcus, she turned back to look at him. If you or your friend so much as glance sideways at me or any other student here, I'll know. And then our next conversation will be very different. She walked away, leaving Marcus standing alone in the empty parking lot, clutching his stomach and struggling to believe what had just happened. 30 minutes ago, he had been the undisputed king of the school. Now, the next morning, the entire school was buzzing with rumors. Marcus Webb, the terror of underclassmen, the untouchable leader of the seniors, walked up to Sophia in the main hallway and, loud enough for everyone to hear, apologized for the previous day's incident. I'm sorry, Sophia, he said, his voice completely genuine. What I did yesterday was completely wrong. I was being a total jerk. Students around them stood with their mouths agape. Marcus Webb apologizing to the new girl. Thank you, Marcus, Sophia said calmly. I accept your apology. From that day forward, the entire atmosphere at school transformed. Marcus and his friends didn't just leave Sophia alone, they seemed to become her unofficial protectors. When any of the younger students tried to bully others, a single look from Marcus was enough to make them reconsider. But the most surprising development occurred. A week later, a group of girls approached Sophia, led by Amanda Foster, one of the most popular students in school. Sophia, Amanda began hesitantly, we heard, well, there are rumors. Is it true that you actually know how to fight? Why do you want to know? Sophia asked. Well, we have a situation. Some guys from Eastwood High keep harassing us after school. The teachers can't do anything because it happens off campus. And if we tell our parents, they'll just forbid us from going anywhere. Sophia studied the girls carefully. She could see the fear and desperation in their eyes. Tell me more, she said gently. It turned out that a group of high school boys from Eastwood had been waiting for the Riverside girls at the bus stop every day. They never physically harmed them, but their harassment was becoming increasingly aggressive. Just the day before, one of them had tried to grab Amanda's arm, and when she pulled away, he had threatened her, "Next time, you won't be able to escape." "How many of them are there?" Sophia asked. "5," one of the girls replied, "and they're all big. I guess they're around 17 or 18. And you girls, how many usually travel together?" "4 of us, typically," Sophia considered for a moment. 5 against 1 weren't ideal odds, even for her, but these girls needed help, and the teachers and parents were limited in what they could do in this situation. "All right," she said finally, "after school today, go to the bus stop as usual." "I'll be there." "What are you going to do?" Amanda asked, her voice trembling. "We'll see what the situation requires," Sophia answered calmly. At 3:45 p.m., Sophia positioned herself at the bus stop. She sat on the bench, pretending to read a book, but her eyes constantly scanned the area. Amanda and her friends arrived a few minutes later, standing slightly apart and exchanging nervous glances. The Eastwood boys appeared right on schedule, 5 large teenagers in athletic wear. With cocky expressions and arrogant swagger, their leader, a tall blonde with a neck tattoo, immediately approached the girls. Well, look what we have here," he announced loudly, "our favorite princesses from Riverside." "Leave us alone, Derek." Amanda tried to sound brave. "Are we bothering you?" he sneered. "We're just being friendly." He grinned maliciously. "By the way, yesterday you ran off too quickly. Didn't even give me a chance to get to know you better." He reached out to touch Amanda's face. She shrank back, but one of his friends stepped behind her, blocking her escape route. "Don't be scared, sweetheart. I don't bite," he said mockingly. That's when Sophia intervened. "Excuse me," she said, walking up to the group. "Could you please move? The bus will be here soon, and you're blocking the boarding area." Derek turned to her, his eyes narrowing as he assessed her. "And who exactly are you?" "I'm a student at Riverside, and these girls are my friends." "I see," he scoffed. "Well, why don't you run along? We're having a private conversation with your friends here." "I'm afraid that's not going to happen," Sophia said evenly. "They don't want to talk to you." Derek stepped closer to Sophia. He was nearly 6'6", and next to him, she looked tiny. "Listen, little girl," he growled. "Mind your own business or you'll regret it." "And what exactly will I regret?" Sophia asked in a calm, steady voice. The other boys burst into laughter. They found it hilarious that this small, delicate-looking girl wasn't intimidated by their leader. "You know what?" Derek turned to his friends. "I like this one. She's got spirit. Maybe we should take her with us." One of the boys, a stocky brunette with gold teeth, moved behind Sophia. "Good idea, Derek. It's been a while since we had some fresh company." He reached out to grab her shoulders. That was his mistake. Sophia didn't even turn around. In one fluid motion, she snapped her left elbow backward, targeting his solar plexus. The blow was short, but devastating. The boy doubled over, gasping for air, and fell to his knees. "What the hell?" Derek started, but he didn't get to finish. Sophia turned to face him, and something in her eyes stopped him cold. It was the gaze of a predator, cold, calculating, completely fearless. "You have 30 seconds to leave," she said quietly. "That's the only warning you'll get." Derek couldn't believe what he was hearing. Some girl, barely 5'5", was threatening him and his crew. "You've lost your mind," he roared. "I'll crush you with one hand." He never finished the sentence. Sophia moved so fast, he didn't even have time to react. One moment she was 6 feet away. The next, her fist slammed into his liver with enough force to make his internal organs feel like they were on fire. He doubled over, gasping for breath. Then she brought her knee up into his face. His nose crunched under the impact, and blood poured from his nostrils. Derek collapsed onto his back, struggling to remain conscious. The entire attack had taken less than 3 seconds. The other 3 boys stood frozen, stunned. Their leader, the one they had always considered invincible, lay on the ground in a pool of his own blood. "Who's next?" Sophia asked, turning to them. No one moved. They had witnessed what she did to Derek, and they understood. This girl wasn't bluffing. "Wise decision," Sophia said, nodding. "Now take your friend and leave." And if I ever see any of you near these girls again, our next encounter will be very different." The boys lifted the groaning Derek and hurried away. The one she had elbowed was still on his knees, clutching his stomach. "You two," Sophia told him. "Get out of here." When the bullies finally disappeared from sight, Amanda and her friends rushed over to Sophia. Their eyes were wide with a mixture of awe and relief. "That was incredible," Amanda gasped. "How did you learn to do that?" "It's a long story," Sophia shrugged. "The important thing is they won't bother you anymore." "What if they come back?" one of the girls asked, her voice still shaking. "They won't," Sophia said confidently. "Guys like Derek only understand strength. Today he learned a lesson he won't forget." Just then, the bus arrived at the stop. The girls climbed aboard, still talking in excited whispers about what they had witnessed. Sophia waited for the next bus stop. By the time she finally arrived home, her mother was already preparing dinner. "How was school today?" Linda asked as usual. "Better," Sophia replied with a small smile. "Much better." Her mother studied her face carefully. Something had changed in Sophia over the past few days. She seemed more confident, more at peace. The constant tension that had been present since her first day at the new school was gone. "Did you make some new friends?" Linda asked carefully. "Yeah," Sophia said. "Turns out there are some really good people here." "I'm glad to hear that." Sophia went up to her room and sat down at her desk. She opened her textbook, but her mind was far from homework. Today had changed everything for her at this new school. She no longer needed to hide or pretend to be weak and defenseless. She could finally be herself. The next day, everyone at school had heard about what happened at the bus stop. The story grew with each retelling, but the core remained the same. The new girl from Philadelphia had taken down 5 senior boys from Eastwood, all by herself. Students from every grade approached Sophia. Some just wanted to say hello. Others asked her how to stand up for themselves. Several girls wondered if she could teach them some self-defense techniques. Of course, Sophia agreed. "I think that would be really valuable." She made arrangements with the wrestling coach to use the gymnasium after school. Within a week, she had a group of about 20 students, mostly girls, but some boys too. Sophia taught them the fundamentals of self-defense, proper stance, where to strike when necessary, how to break free from grabs. She explained that in a confrontation, strength wasn't as important as technique and the ability to stay calm under pressure. "Remember," she told her students, "the best fight is the one you avoid. But if you can't avoid it, you strike first, you strike decisively, and you end it quickly." The classes quickly became popular, not just with students, but with teachers as well. Even the school principal, Dr. Williams, took notice. One afternoon, he called Sophia into his office. "Sophia," he said, "what you're doing is truly important. In today's world, young people need to know how to protect themselves." "Thank you, Dr. Williams," Sophia replied. "I spoke with your mother." He continued. "She told me about your achievements back in Philadelphia. Why did you keep your abilities secret?" Sophia paused thoughtfully. "I thought it would be easier," she admitted. "I thought I could just live a normal life." "And how's that working out?" Dr. Williams asked gently. "You know what I've realized?" Sophia said thoughtfully. "Hiding who you really are isn't living. It's just existing. Real life begins when you stop being afraid to be yourself." Dr. Williams smiled. Wise words for a 16-year-old. "I had to mature quickly," Sophia said simply. About a month after the incident with the Eastwood boys, something occurred that firmly established Sophia's reputation at the school. A major mixed martial arts organization came to town to hold an exhibition and scout for young talent. The event was held at the local sports complex, and many of Riverside High students attended. Sophia hadn't planned to participate. She just went to watch with Amanda and the others. But when the organizers announced an open sparring session for anyone who wanted to participate, the crowd of students began chanting her name. "Sophia, Sophia, Sophia." Mike Turner, a former professional fighter and one of the event organizers, noticed the commotion. "What's happening?" he asked. "The kids want one of the students to spar." Someone explained. "They say she's a state champion." "Really? How old is she?" Turner asked, intrigued. 16, came the answer. Turner frowned. "Too young for a real fight, but maybe we can arrange a light sparring session with one of our female fighters." He approached the crowd. "So, where's this champion of yours?" Amanda nudged Sophia forward. Here she is. Turner looked Sophia up and down, his expression skeptical. She was small, wearing jeans and a simple t-shirt. She didn't look like a fighter. You, really a state champion? He asked. I was, Sophia said, in Pennsylvania. What weight class? 125 pounds. All right. We've got a fighter about your size. Want to do some light sparring? No headshots and you'll wear protective gear. Sophia looked at her classmates. In their eyes, she saw hope and excitement. They believed in her, and she couldn't disappoint them. All right, she said. A few minutes later, Sophia was in the center of the ring, wearing a protective helmet and gloves. Her opponent was Kelly Martinez, a 20-year-old up-and-coming professional with 6 amateur fights under her belt. Don't worry, kid, Kelly said during their warm-up. This is just an exhibition. Sophia simply nodded. She felt completely at home, the smell of sweat and leather, the bright lights, the roar of the crowd. It was all so familiar. The referee signaled to begin. Kelly started cautiously, testing Sophia's reflexes. She threw a few light jabs to gauge her reaction. Sophia calmly blocked or evaded them, not rushing to counterattack. Decent defense, Kelly thought to herself. She decided to increase the intensity. She launched a 3-strike combination, left jab, right cross, and a kick to Sophia's ribs. Her technique was flawless, her speed impressive, but Sophia was ready. She slipped the first 2 punches and caught the kick, using Kelly's momentum to sweep her legs. Kelly crashed to the mat, stunned. Sophia immediately followed her to the ground. Kelly was skilled on the mat, but Sophia was better, with a series of quick transitions. She had Kelly trapped in a rear naked choke. Kelly tried to escape, but Sophia's control was precise and unbreakable. She had no choice but to tap out. The gymnasium erupted in applause. The Riverside High students cheered and whistled, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. Their classmate had defeated a professional fighter. Mike Turner approached the ring, a look of amazement on his face. Where did you train? He asked Sophia. In Philadelphia, at Sensei Rodriguez's academy. She replied. Rodriguez, I know him. He's an excellent instructor. Turner looked thoughtful for a moment. Listen, would you be interested in pursuing this? Professionally, you have the talent to achieve something really special. Sophia looked over at her classmates, their faces filled with admiration and excitement. Her mother was in the crowd too, beaming with pride. Thanks for the offer, Sophia said with a small smile. But right now, I just want to be a high school student. There are more important things I need to focus on here. After that exhibition match, Sophia's reputation spread far beyond the school. Local newspapers wrote articles about her, and a brief segment aired on regional television. But for Sophia, none of that was what mattered most. What mattered was that she had finally found her place. She was no longer just a new girl struggling to fit in. She had become a leader, someone others looked up to. Her self-defense classes now had over 50 regular participants. The girls in her program had grown more confident, and even the boys treated her with genuine respect. Even Marcus Webb had changed. He was no longer the school's primary bully. In fact, he had started helping younger students. One day, he approached Sophia after a training session. You know, he said, awkwardly scratching the back of his head, I just wanted to say thank you. For what? Sophia asked. For stopping me that day. I was a real jerk. If you hadn't put me in my place, I'd probably be even worse now. Sophia smiled. We all make mistakes, Marcus. The important thing is learning from them. I'm trying, Marcus said earnestly. And you know, if you ever need any help, you can count on me. It was a turning point, not just for Marcus, but for the entire school. The atmosphere transformed completely. Bullying virtually disappeared. There was no more picking on new students. Instead, students began helping each other, building each other up. But the true test of everything they had built was still ahead. At the beginning of November, the school was rocked by shocking news. Derek Miller, the same bully Sophia had confronted at the bus stop, had been arrested for assaulting a girl from another school district. This time, he had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. He was facing serious jail time, but Derek came from a wealthy family. His father, a prominent attorney, hired the most expensive legal team money could buy. They immediately began working to get the charges against his son dismissed. One of their strategies was to blame Sophia for provoking the incident back in October. 3 months after Derek's arrest, His lawyers filed a countersuit. They claimed that Sophia's attack on Derek had triggered his subsequent violent behavior. They wanted her held responsible as an accomplice. The case quickly became a media circus. Local news outlets divided into opposing camps. Some labeled Sophia a hero, others argued she had gone too far. Can a 16-year-old girl really be that dangerous? Question one newspaper headline. Self-defense or assault? Where do we draw the line? Wondered a local TV station. Sophia suddenly found herself at the center of a storm. For several days, reporters camped outside their house. Eventually, the media frenzy subsided. But her mother remained worried. Maybe we should relocate, Linda suggested one evening as they finished dinner. Start fresh somewhere else. No, Sophia said firmly. I'm not running away. I didn't do anything wrong. But this legal case, her mother began, this case will expose the truth, Sophia said calmly, and the truth is on our side. The trial was scheduled for 2 months later. Derek's attorneys attempted to portray Sophia as a violent teenager with serious anger issues, someone who used her combat training to harm innocent people. But they had overlooked one crucial detail. Sophia had witnesses. On the day of the trial, the courtroom was packed. Students from Riverside High came to support her, along with teachers and parents. Amanda and her friends sat in the front row, silently cheering her on. Derek's lawyer opened with an emotional speech, painting his client as a boy who had gotten caught up in a normal teenage interaction that spiraled out of control. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he said, this is the story of an innocent attempt at teenage socializing that turned into a brutal assault. My client was simply trying to meet some girls, as any boy his age might. Objection, Sophia's attorney interrupted. Your Honor, Mr. Miller is not the defendant here. Sustained, the judge replied. Counsel, please watch your language. Derek's lawyer continued. But when it came time for witness testimony, his narrative began to fall apart. Amanda Foster was the first to take the stand. Tell the court what happened that day at the bus stop, the prosecutor asked gently. Derek Miller and his friends had been harassing us for weeks, Amanda said, her voice initially shaking but growing stronger. They said horrible things to us. They tried to touch us without permission. That day, Derek tried to grab my face. When I pulled away, one of his friends blocked my escape route. And then what happened? Sophia stepped in, Amanda said with conviction. She told them to leave us alone, but they started threatening her too. Who initiated physical contact? The prosecutor asked. One of Derek's friends grabbed Sophia from behind. Amanda stated firmly. She defended herself. Derek's lawyer tried to undermine Amanda's testimony, but she stood her ground. Other girls, along with several random witnesses who had observed the incident, all testified to the same facts. Sophia had acted in defense of herself and the other girls. But the most compelling testimony came from Sophia herself. Miss Chen, the prosecutor said, addressing her respectfully. Could you tell the court about your background in martial arts? Sophia stood up, shoulders straight, and began to speak. She told them about how she had started training after being bullied herself, about the years of discipline and dedication, the competition she had won, and how her training had taught her not just to fight, but to control her aggression. My sensei always taught us, she continued, that true strength isn't about inflicting pain. It's about knowing when to stop. That day at the bus stop, I could have seriously injured those boys, but I used only the minimum force necessary to stop them. And what did you feel in that moment? The prosecutor asked. Responsibility, Sophia said without hesitation, for the girls they were trying to hurt, for myself, and for teaching them that their behavior was unacceptable. Derek's lawyer tried to shake her during cross-examination, but Sophia remained calm and honest. She didn't make excuses or minimize what had happened. You admit you struck my client? He pressed. Yes, Sophia said. I admit it, and that it was a powerful blow, powerful enough to stop him. She answered simply, did you consider that you might cause serious injury? I had complete control over the force of my strike, Sophia said. My sensei taught me how to calibrate my strength according to the situation. But you could have simply run away, couldn't you? The lawyer asked, leaning forward. Sophia met his gaze with a steady, unwavering look. And what about those girls? Were they supposed to run to for how long? Someone needed to stop your client, and I did. The courtroom erupted in applause, but the judge quickly restored order. The closing arguments were largely a formality. The prosecutor's case was clear and compelling. Sophia had acted within the law to defend herself and others. The jury needed only 25 minutes to reach a verdict. The decision was unanimous, not guilty on all counts. When the judge read the verdict, the courtroom filled with applause again. Sophia embraced her mother, who was crying tears of relief and pride. "Thank you for believing in me," Sophia said to her classmates who had stayed until the very end to support her. "We always believed in you," Amanda said with a smile. "You taught us the most important lesson, not to be afraid, to be strong." After the trial, life gradually returned to normal. The media lost interest, and the reporters stopped congregating outside their house. But the changes that Sophia had initiated didn't fade away. Her self-defense classes were officially incorporated into the school's physical education curriculum. The administration provided her with a dedicated space and the equipment she needed. Professional instructors joined to assist, but Sophia remained the primary instructor. She taught more than just fighting techniques. She taught the psychology of self-defense, how to recognize dangerous situations, how to avoid conflict, and how to help others without putting yourself at unnecessary risk. Remember, she would tell her students, strength isn't just physical ability. True strength is confidence in yourself, standing up for what's right, and being ready to protect those who can't protect themselves. Her words resonated not only with students but with adults as well. Parents, teachers, and even community members began attending the classes. Sophia's program became a place where people of all ages learned how to be brave, how to stand tall in the face of fear. It was more than self-defense. It was about building a community. Sophia's quiet courage and fierce determination had started something bigger than she had ever imagined. She had become a symbol that even the most ordinary person could change the world around them. But the most important change happened within herself. Sophia no longer tried to hide her true nature. She understood that accepting who she was had been the first step toward making the world a better place. One evening, as she was walking home after another training session, a stranger approached her. Sophia immediately tensed, ready to defend herself. "Sophia Chen?" he asked. "Yes," she said cautiously. "My name is Robert Foster. I'm Amanda's father, one of the girls you protected from those bullies." Sophia relaxed slightly. "Oh, I see. How is Amanda doing?" "She's thriving, and you know why? Because she's been attending your classes. She's become a completely different person, confident, strong, ready to stand up for herself." He paused, searching for the right words. "I just wanted to say thank you, not just for protecting her that day, but for teaching her to protect herself. That's the greatest gift you could give a parent." "There's no need to thank me," Sophia replied. "I'm just doing what I believe is right." "You know what?" he said quietly. "It's people like you who make the world a better place." When Sophia arrived home, her mother was already asleep. She quietly went to her room and sat by the window, gazing up at the starlit sky. A year ago, she had been a frightened girl moving to a new town, hoping to remain invisible. Today, she was a leader, a teacher, a protector, someone she had always been meant to be. It hadn't been easy. She had faced prejudice, overcome her fears, and weathered a very public controversy, but every challenge had only made her stronger. Sophia understood one fundamental truth: you can't run from your destiny. You can try to be someone else to meet others' expectations, but eventually your true nature will emerge, and when that happens, you must be ready to take responsibility for your strength. The next day at school, Sophia was in for a surprise. Principal Williams called her to his office, where members of the city council, the parent-teacher association, and local media were gathered. "Sophia," the principal said solemnly, "the city council has decided to present you with an honorary medal for courage and community service. You're the youngest person in our town's history to receive this recognition." Sophia was stunned. She had never imagined her actions would be acknowledged in such a way. "Thank you," she said, accepting the beautiful medal from the mayor. "But I want to share this honor with everyone who stood by me, with my students who found the courage to change, with my classmates who believed in me, with the teachers who helped me grow." Her speech was brief, but deeply heartfelt. She spoke about how true strength didn't come from physical abilities, but from the willingness to stand up for truth, to help the vulnerable, and to never be afraid to be yourself. Each of us can be a hero, she concluded. We just need to find the courage to take that first step. In her final year at Riverside High, Sophia became student body president. She used that position to completely eliminate the last vestiges of the school's culture of intimidation and hierarchy. She helped establish a peer mediation council, a body that resolved conflicts between students through understanding and reconciliation rather than punishment. The goal isn't to punish the bully, Sophia explained to those learning about the mediation process. It's to help them understand why their behavior was wrong and to change it. The system worked beautifully. The number of serious conflicts at the school dropped to virtually zero. After the award ceremony, a reporter from the local newspaper approached Sophia. "What are your plans for the future? I understand several sports organizations are offering you professional contracts for now. I just want to finish high school," Sophia replied with a quiet smile. "And maybe someday I'll become a coach. I want to help other young people find their strength the way my sensei helped me." "Do you regret not keeping your abilities secret from the beginning?" the reporter asked. Sophia paused thoughtfully. No. I spent a long time trying to be someone I wasn't. I thought it would be easier that way, but it turned out to be the opposite. When you hide your true self, you're not just lying to others, you're lying to yourself. And eventually, that only creates more problems. So you believe we should always be authentic, the reporter pressed. "Yes," Sophia said firmly. "Every person is born with certain talents, abilities, and a purpose. Our job isn't to hide them, it's to use them for good. Of course, that requires responsibility. But there's no real strength without responsibility." The interview was published on the front page and quickly spread across social media. Sophia became an inspiration for countless teenagers who were afraid to show their true abilities. Letters began arriving from all over the country. Young people shared their struggles, asked for advice, and told her how her story had inspired them to find their own strength. One letter particularly touched Sophia's heart. It was from a 14-year-old girl in Oregon. "Dear Sophia," it read, "My name is Rebecca. I want to share my story with you. I've always been overweight and clumsy. At school, they bullied me constantly, and I would just cry and run away. But after reading about you, I decided to sign up for Taekwondo. At first, it was really difficult, but I didn't give up. And last week, something incredible happened. When the older kids tried to pick on me again, I didn't cry. I looked them straight in the eyes and said, 'Leave me alone.' And you know what? They did. Thank you for showing me that anyone can be strong. Your grateful admirer, Rebecca." Reading letters like that, Sophia knew she had found her true calling. She wanted to help young people discover their inner strength, to teach them not to be afraid to be themselves. 6 more months passed. Sophia was now in her senior year, preparing college applications. She chose to major in psychology with a focus on sports psychology. She wanted to become a counselor and work with young athletes. But fate had one more test in store for her. One evening, as Sophia was walking home after training, a stranger confronted her. She immediately sensed danger. He was obviously intoxicated and aggressive. "So, you're the little brat who ruined my son's life," he snarled. Sophia knew instantly who he was. Standing before her was Mr. Miller, Derek Miller's father, the same Derek who was now serving time in juvenile detention for his crimes. "Mr. Miller," she said, slowly moving toward the well-lit part of the street, "your son made his own choices. He's responsible for what happened. My boy was a good kid until he met you," Miller sneered. He stepped closer, his fist clenching. Sophia assessed the situation calmly. The man was huge, nearly 6'6" and well over 100 pounds. But his balance was compromised and his movements sluggish from alcohol. "Calm down," she said firmly. "Walk away before I call the police." "Police?" He laughed bitterly. "First, I'm going to show you what it feels like to be helpless." He lunged at her, reaching for her shoulders. Sophia was ready. She slipped away from his grasp and delivered a short, precise punch to his solar plexus. The alcohol had dulled his reflexes, and he couldn't react fast enough. He doubled over, gasping for air, then tried to grab her again. This time, Sophia knew she had to end it quickly. One sharp strike to his jaw, and the man collapsed to the pavement, unconscious. She immediately pulled out her phone and called the police. Within minutes, a patrol car and ambulance arrived. When they got there, Miller was still unconscious. The paramedics diagnosed a mild concussion, but no serious injuries. "Another self-defense case?" the detective asked. "Already familiar with Sophia from the previous incident. He attacked me on the street," Sophia said calmly. I defended myself. I understand, the detective said. Any witnesses? Sophia looked around. Fortunately, the incident had occurred near a convenience store, and a security camera had captured the entire confrontation. The footage made everything crystal clear. Sophia was defending herself from a violent attacker. The case never even went to court. The video showed beyond any doubt who the real aggressor was. Mr. Miller was charged with assault and making threats. Sophia was officially recognized as having acted in lawful self-defense. But the incident made her reflect deeply. She realized that her reputation might attract not only admirers, but also those who wanted to test her abilities or seek revenge for past defeats. That evening over dinner, she said to her mother, Mom, I think we need to have a serious conversation. About what, sweetheart? Linda asked, setting down her fork. About what happened today and about what might happen in the future. Sophia told her mother everything, her fears and concerns. How she worried not just for herself, but for her friends, her students, and everyone close to her. Are you scared? Linda asked quietly. No, I'm not scared, Sophia said steadily, but I'm concerned. What if next time it's not just one drunk man, but a whole group? Linda was quiet for a long moment, thinking carefully. You know what, sweetheart? She said finally, I'm proud of you, not just because you can fight, but because you think about others, because you're willing to take responsibility for their safety. But what should I do? Sophia asked softly. Exactly what you've always done, Linda said with a gentle smile. Be yourself. Protect those who need protection, and never let fear control your life. The next day at school, everyone was discussing what had happened. The story spread quickly. Throughout the town, Sophia had defended herself once again. Students from every grade approached her, offering their support and encouragement. The local newspaper ran an editorial about school safety, using Sophia's story as a powerful example. But most importantly, the incident didn't break her spirit. It only strengthened her resolve to continue helping other young people. Her self-defense program expanded to other schools in the district. Sophia traveled regularly, conducting seminars and sharing her experience with other instructors. Most importantly, the students themselves continued to change. They became braver, more confident, ready to stand up for themselves and for each other. Incidents of bullying dropped dramatically throughout the region. You know what your greatest achievement is? Amanda asked her one day. What? Sophia replied. You showed all of us that you can be strong and kind at the same time. That real strength isn't about hurting the weak, it's about protecting them. In her final year, Sophia's leadership only grew stronger. As student body president, she used her influence to eliminate the last remnants of the old fear-based social hierarchy. The peer mediation council she helped create became a model of fairness and empathy. No one was punished for punishment's sake. It was about understanding, growth, and second chances. The goal isn't to punish the bully, Sophia explained to everyone, but to help them understand why what they did was wrong and to change. And it worked. Serious conflicts in the school dropped to almost zero. Finally, graduation day arrived. Sophia stood on stage in her cap and gown, diploma in hand. She wasn't just a valedictorian academically, she had become a leader, a voice for positive change. Dear graduates, she began her speech, her voice clear and confident. For years ago, I came to this school as a frightened girl who just wanted to be invisible. I thought if I stayed quiet and small, I could avoid problems. The auditorium was completely silent, hanging on her every word. But life taught me something different, she said with a gentle smile. Problems find us whether we hide or not, and then we have a choice, to give up or to fight. She paused, looking out at the familiar faces of her friends and teachers. I chose to fight, not because I love conflict, but because there were people around me who needed to be protected. And you know what? It didn't just change their lives. It transformed mine too. The applause interrupted her briefly, while she continued with quiet determination. Today, we all go our separate ways. Some to college, some to work, some to military service. But remember, wherever you are, always be yourself. Don't hide your talents. Don't be afraid to be strong. The world needs people who will stand up for truth and justice. She raised her diploma above her head, her eyes shining with certainty. And one more thing, if you ever see someone being hurt, don't walk away. Step up. Be the change you want to see in the world. The auditorium erupted in thunderous applause. It was a standing ovation. Her classmates, teachers, and parents all cheered for her. When the ceremony ended, Marcus Webb approached her, once the school's biggest bully, now about to enter college to study social work. "Sophia," he said awkwardly, "I just wanted to say thank you one more time." "For what?" she asked with a small smile. "For not breaking my nose that day," he laughed, "even though I deserved it. But more than that, for showing me there was another way. If it weren't for that lesson, I might have become someone very different. We all make mistakes, Marcus," Sophia said gently. "The important thing is learning from them. You know," Marcus said thoughtfully, "I've been thinking, maybe everything happens for a reason. Maybe you came to our school because we needed you." Sophia considered that. Maybe he was right. Maybe her move to Willowbrook had never been an accident. That night at home, Sophia sat in her room packing her belongings. Tomorrow, she was leaving for college in Boston. A new life awaited her, with new challenges and new opportunities. But she was no longer afraid of change. 4 years at Riverside High had taught her the most important lesson of all. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're facing. What matters is who you are inside. Her mother appeared in the doorway. "How are you feeling, sweetheart?" she asked softly. "Good," Sophia said with a quiet smile. "I'm thinking about the future." "And what do you see?" "I see a lot of work, a lot of young people who need help, a lot of opportunities to make the world a better place," Sophia said, her voice steady. "I'm proud of you," her mother said. "And I'm proud that you're my mom," Sophia replied, embracing her tightly. "Thank you for always believing in me." They held each other for a long moment, sharing a silent bond of love and gratitude. The next morning, half the town came to see Sophia off. At the train station, her students, classmates, teachers, and even people she barely knew gathered together, waiting to say goodbye. "Don't forget about us," Amanda said through her tears. "How could I ever forget you?" Sophia said with a warm smile. "You'll all always be in my heart." As the train pulled away, Sophia watched the town she had come to love fade into the distance. This was the place where she had discovered herself, where she had learned her purpose. But ahead lay a new chapter, and Sophia was ready for it. At college, she studied psychology with a focus on adolescent development. She also coached the university's martial arts team and ran self-defense classes for female students. The story of the girl who transformed her school spread far and wide. Books were written about her, documentaries filmed, but for Sophia, it was all just the beginning. After college, she spent several years working as a counselor in youth centers, gaining experience and learning everything she could. Then, at the age of 26, she opened her own center for developing young leaders. She started small, a single office, a handful of students, but soon it grew. Teenagers from neighboring towns came to train with her, kids who had faced bullying, kids who were afraid to stand up for themselves, kids who wanted to change the world around them. "Remember," Sophia told them, her voice calm and strong, "each of you was born for something great. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Be yourself, fight for what's right, and never give up." Her center became one of the most respected in the region. Some of her graduates returned to their own communities to start similar programs. Slowly but surely, a network of positive change grew. Within a few years, Sophia was recognized as one of the leading experts in her state on combating school bullying. She was invited to speak at conferences, consult with school districts, and help design educational programs, but she never forgot where it all began. Every year on her graduation anniversary, she returned to Willowbrook. She met with old friends, conducted workshops for new generations of students. "You know, what's amazing," said 30-year-old Sophia in an interview with a local paper. "I used to think moving to that small town was the end of everything, but it turned out to be the beginning, because there, in that small town, she had discovered who she was meant to be." Years passed. Sophia became not just a successful psychologist and coach, but an inspiration to thousands of young people in her region, a symbol that anyone can change their life and the lives of those around them, if they find the courage to be themselves. And in the small town of Willowbrook, in the gymnasium at Riverside High, there hung a photograph of a slender girl with determined eyes. Beneath it, a plaque read, "Sophia Chen, Class of 2019. She taught us that true strength lies in the willingness to protect others." Every new generation of students who looked at that photograph learned the story of how one girl changed an entire world. And they understood the most important lesson of all: each of us can be a hero. All it takes is the courage to take that first step. The story ended exactly where it was meant to end. Not with loud fanfare, but with a quiet certainty that the world was just a little bit better because one person found the strength not to hide, but to shine.